I'm in Fishtown in Philadelphia, and I'm showing you guys this building behind me, that green building. It's called co-living, and what co-living is, it's adult dorm room style living. So think about that. You're sharing living space with other people, and maybe 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, it would have felt, not natural, not organic. People wouldn't want to do it. But now with things like Airbnb, where you're essentially leasing out your square footage, your house, to other people, and that kind of broke down the barrier. And then you have things like Facebook and Instagram, and where you're much more likely to share information. It's forcing people to become extroverts. And also that, coupled with student debt and high cost of living, it's making the practicality of getting your own one-bedroom apartment not attainable for most people. So how these people are pricing out these units is they're going 10 to 20% below the market value of a standard one-bedroom in this neighborhood. Now, just 10 years ago, this neighborhood was pretty troubled. Now it's the high-end everything. I'll go over here as well, I'll show you. They're building so much high-end living quarters here, to the point to where they're pricing everybody else out of the neighborhood. Now, what happens next is these units, they're going to go 10 to 20% below market value, but what makes them really just so great for a lot of young people is that it's really kind of like an incubator of like-minded people. So their target audience is people 23 to 28 years old that are in the tech sector that have high-paying jobs. So you essentially go here and you increase the odds of you meeting someone else that is like you. And so then what happens is they put you on a membership, and how this membership then works is if you wanted to move to, say, LA or San Diego or Atlanta or Chicago or anywhere else, and they had a location there, you would get priority in that location. You'd be able to transfer your lease over there. So their goal is, their slogan is, this will be the last lease you ever sign. And there's so many of these buildings popping up everywhere. There's over 3,000 units right now in LA, or excuse me, not in LA, in America, and they're expanding rapidly. They can't keep up with demand. And the catchphrase is, if 0.01% of their target audience gets into co-living, it will be a multi-billion-dollar industry. Multi-billion-dollar industry. And so what my suggestion is, and my guess, is that big tech is going to take advantage of this. And how they're going to take advantage is they know who the audience is, because they're looking for young people between 23 and 28 in the tech sector. So they're able to obviously secure that data. They know who's going to most likely be open to that, who shares a lot of information, who fits that demographic, and they're able to target the audience accordingly. And then on top of all this, where big tech also makes their move is, I think that they probably take over like an Indeed.com or one of these job type forums, to where they're able to not only just find you the roommate, but they're also able to find you your employer. So if the employer is looking for, say, someone in Texas, and they post something in Indeed and no one in Texas right now is looking for that type of job, they might know someone in Hong Kong. They might have someone in LA that would be open to moving to Texas, and they start running ads directly at that person, and then they end up securing that employee in a location that would have never been found before. So I think big tech definitely makes a big leap into the job forum space. And then if that ends up being very, very lucrative, I think that this co-living is essentially what's going to be the big thing that's going to essentially reshape the market. Because think about this, if the low-cost provider is providing housing for high-quality tenants, and when I say high quality, I mean high-income quality, so they're making good money, then what happens to the one-bedrooms and the studios and the two-bedrooms and the three-bedroom apartments? They're essentially going to be higher quality living. So it's going to just be harder and harder and harder for the older demographic to maintain residency in this market, essentially in any big city, in any dense location. Think about this, in Hong Kong, The average studio apartment is only 200 square feet, whereas the average studio apartment in New York City is 500 square feet. So people in Asia are already more susceptible to being attracted to this type of living, because the square footage here is 170 square feet. So 170 is essentially the same thing. So you get to move in with someone that's like you for less money in that city, and you're able to build friends and allies, and who knows, maybe you end up starting a business with someone there. I personally believe that there's going to be a huge, huge market, and I think this recession that we're going to step into is only going to make this more popular, because people are going to be wanting to downsize from their one-bedroom apartments and two-bedroom apartments to something more affordable, and they don't want to downsize the quality of their living. Because if you live in LA and you have a nice one-bedroom apartment in a good building, you're spending $3,000 or $3,500. Now, if you could downsize to say $2,000, have the same amenities, but you lack the square footage and maybe you lack a little privacy, people would rather do that than go from that $3,500 apartment to an apartment that maybe doesn't have any amenities and that's outdated and that needs work and the neighborhood's not as ripe and really not as safe. This neighborhood, yeah, just 15 years ago was so scary. I grew up skateboarding around here when I was really young, and just 2 blocks away I was almost robbed from my video camera by like a small gang, me and my friend. And that was not uncommon back then. Now I'm going to walk and show you some of the other buildings that they're building around here, because they're building 5 other buildings within a 1-block radius, And these aren't co-living. This is just standard 1-bedrooms like this right here. I'm going to give you guys so they're building, it's just everything. It's just really kind of incredible. And I think that people aren't talking about co-living because it's not in your face yet. But I know for a fact with this recession that we're stepping into, and as people start really watching how they're spending and how people are, more educated today than ever before. Now, a lot of the big money is coming from tech. I don't really know anyone making a lot of money today that's not doing it in some way, shape, or form without the internet. So these people pursuing tenants that are 23 to 20 years old is absolutely genius, because these people are going to be the people essentially that are going to make lion's share of the money in the near future. And they're going to have that information, they're going to have that data, and they're going to be able to sell that information and data to other companies. So they're going to then be able to be like, okay, well, this person was a really good tenant, this person lived here for a year, 2 years, they worked for Facebook, they worked for Apple, they worked for these companies, and they're more susceptible to a new career, because they generally stay at a career for a year or 2 years. They're more susceptible to moving, and they're able to sell that information and data to a new company, because new companies are going to advertise and secure new employees, new talent at whatever way they possibly can. That's just how companies thrive and survive. So I think it's going to be a great place for people to make a lot of connections, make a lot of friends, and it's going to be a great way for Facebook to kind of expand outside of just simply selling advertising to businesses. I think them essentially finding employees for business owners and then supplying advertising to businesses is like a healthy transition from what they're currently doing. And if that all works, which I think there's no way it won't work, then housing, co-living housing, dorm room style housing is essentially going to be the future, without question. And it's crazy to me in Philadelphia, because back then, like 10 years ago even, and a 1-bedroom apartment was like $700. Now in this neighborhood, you're going to spend $1,400. So it literally doubled. The apartment doubled. And all they have to do is go 10%, 20% below market value. That's what their business model. They said all they want to do is when the construction's finished, they're going to see what the new 1-bedrooms are renting for in the area, go 10 to 20% below that, and that's their market. And they're going to pursue those high-quality tenants in that area, and they're going to lease up the building. They're going to have a master lease, and they're going to do a bunch of subleases throughout. So it's a great business model. I think it's going to scale in a big, big, big way. And as this scales, so will the demand, because other developers are going to see this. A lot of developers right now are going to get seriously hurt in this new, in this crunch that we're going to face. And the reason they're going to get hurt is because no one saw coronavirus coming, no one saw any of that coming, so they're overbuilding all these high-end luxury apartments, thinking that the demand was going to be comparable to what it once was. And as that changes, people are going to start being a little bit more careful with their money. They're going to be a little bit more careful with their money, and they're going to consider options like this building here for maybe $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200 for a unit, for a bed. So me being, if I was 23 years old, 24 years old, and I was moving to a new city, there would be zero chance that I want to go get my own one-bedroom apartment. And the reason being is because I want to go somewhere, make friends as quickly as possible with like-minded people, and try to learn from those people, try to share information, try to meet new people, see what those connections will lead. Because if you're only relying on yourself to do things and you're not sharing information and data with other people, it's going to just take you a lot longer. The process isn't going to be half as fun. And I think it's kind of, life is short. You want to have experiences, and I think that's what I would do. Most people that I knew growing up, when they go to Europe, they'd stay at a hostel. Even if they could afford their own apartment, they'd rather stay at a hostel and meet new people and build those connections. And I think that this is America's new tech hostel. It's going to be co-living. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.